like to start out today with an original poem by Rob's friend Gary Riddell, and I'll let him introduce it.
Thank you. A Tale of Two Robs. There was a moment before they met, and I know because I was there. There was a moment when there were just two Robs. One had made the trek from Oregon to find his own Mecca, his home in San Francisco. The other knew many things, the most important of which was to stay put and be in that particular spot on that day where they would meet and something new would be. Two lives, two paths, two adventures leading up to that moment. If it had been any other day, any other place, with any lesser friend present, the meaning in that moment might have been lost. Oh, but it wasn't. An exchange of cards, glances, did I mention I was there? Soon became something more, and led us all to be here today at this place, celebrating the meaning of this moment. Absent flowery words best left to greeting card sentiments, well, okay, save for a few. They simply met, and something was that hadn't been before. It would carry them through shared journeys, daring adventures, world travels, afternoons with friends. Oh, the afternoons with friends, can we talk? Special shared times with families, quiet moments and ridiculous ones, all defining the meaning of this moment, this moment. It's a simple thing, really, that brings us all here today. Simple and right and abundantly enough. In this crazy world with our hectic lives, when it's easier to be cynical, easier to find evidence of hate than love, it's a good thing that we're here today, honoring this commitment of love between these two special friends, brothers, sons, nephews. We know a few things only, that life is short, that love is really all there is, and that the simplest things sometimes matter most. So on this day of celebration, it's a good thing that we are here together to acknowledge something that is all of those things, and yet at the same time somehow indefinable. It's the thing about love that confounds and perplexes and lets it somehow sneak up on you when you least expect it. It can throw you for a loop. It changes everything. That's the thing about love and about days like today. Congratulations, love.
I've known one Rob for about 15 years and the other for only 4 or 5. But one thing I can say for sure is that they are very independent. They seem to celebrate the fact that they have their own unique way of doing things. You all know that they do not play by anyone else's rules. They make their own way in the world, and they do it together with balance. Like the balance needed to ride a bicycle when one Rob presses down on the left pedal, the other one presses down on the right pedal, to keep their lives moving forward down the road of no regrets while watching out for hazards in traffic. And the idea of living one's life according to your own rules, mixing in your own unique ingredients, reminds me of an experience that happened to me a few years ago. I got the incredible opportunity to write one chapter of a book with John Gray. Well, after the press event in LA, the agent took us all out to a high-end Chinese, Asian, fusion, Szechuan restaurant in the Hollywood Hills with a really great view. And at dinner, I told Mr. Gray that I was a wedding officiant, and I asked him if he had any advice to pass along to the couples that I married. He told me that the #1 skill committed couples can learn is that they can learn how to be happy. He said that happiness is a skill that is practiced and developed. It's not just something that sort of happens to you one day. Well, as I sat there at dinner, pretending that I was a celebrity too, the chef came over to the table to introduce himself to the real celebrity, and somehow John Gray got us all a tour of the kitchen before the meal came. Well, I was shocked. The kitchen was a madhouse of unappetizing sights and smells. There was meat sitting out, there was a guy with a hatchet chopping the head off of a duck, cooks were wiping their sweaty brows with their sleeves and all hollering in different Asian languages. I mean, this place made Hell's Kitchen look tame. So So a few minutes later, back at my table, when my entree was served, I was a little hesitant. I stirred around in there with a chopstick and didn't really see anything I even recognized. I could not tell the chicken from the vegetables from the spices. And I was wondering if that poor bee-headed duck was somehow had made it to that bowl in front of me. But when I finally had the nerve to take a bite, I found it to be absolutely incredible. It turned out to be one of the top 10 best meals of my life. And about that time I noticed the view, and I noticed the company, and I noticed the wine, and realized that, you know, you don't need to inspect the kitchen to enjoy the meal. And that relationships are kind of like that Chinese food that I was eating. You know, nobody really knows what the hell all goes into it, right? And that all you really need to know is that at that moment and that time, that you are having an incredible experience, and you're enjoying the flavor of what's happening right now. And it seems clear that Rob and Rob have sort of been chopping up the unique ingredients of a very special relationship for a while, and they seem to have learned how to be happy. No one here knows everything you've done to make your relationship work. We don't know how you spiced it up, and I don't think we want to know. And we don't need to inspect your kitchen to know that. What we see before us is something that is important and that we're all jealous of. Thank you for showing us that successful relationships really can happen. You know, you created a wonderful life for us all to appreciate and admire. And from what I can see, you're on the road to a very happy life together. Congratulations. Long-term committed relationships are more of an art than a science. And in the art of being together and having a relationship, the little things are the big things. It's never being too going to hold hands and remembering to say I love you as things are. It's trying to never go to sleep angry. It's not taking the other for granted and knowing that the courtship does not end today, it begins today and continues through all the years. It's having a mutual sense of values and common objectives. It's standing together facing the world while forming a circle of love that gathers in your whole family. It's doing things for each other not in the attitude of sacrifice, but in the spirit of joy. It's speaking words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in thoughtful ways. It's not expecting one to wear a halo or the other to have the wings of an angel. Not looking for perfection, but cultivating flexibility, patience, understanding, and a sense of humor. It's having the ability to forgive and forget. It's giving each other an atmosphere in which each can grow while finding room for things of the spirit. It's a common search for the good and the beautiful. It's establishing a life in which the independence is equal, the dependence is mutual, and the obligation is reciprocal. Most of all, it's not about marrying the right partner, it's about being the right partner. And I think we'd all agree that you two seem to be a very good combination.